you ever walk into a room and instantly notice a guy who barely says a word, yet somehow everyone's paying attention to him? He's not the loudest, he's not trying hard, but something about him just pulls people in. And here's the thing, he's not doing it by accident. There are certain men who have mastered a rare energy, a psychological pull that makes others want to know more. Women feel it instantly, guys respect it, and the world can't help but be intrigued by it. It's mystery, not the magician with the top hat. I'm talking about the kind of mystery that makes you unforgettable, the type that makes people obsess over you without knowing why. It's not about being fake or trying to play games. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to explain himself, who doesn't need to be loud, because his presence alone does the talking. In this video, I'm going to break down 10 behaviors that make a man deeply mysterious and psychologically attractive. But listen carefully. This isn't about tricks or cheesy pickup lines. This is about understanding how the human mind works. It's about stepping into your masculine core and unlocking the side of you that women find intoxicating without even knowing why. So if you're tired of chasing, trying, performing, this is where that ends. Because once you internalize these behaviors, you don't chase, you attract. You don't speak to impress, you move with purpose. And everything about you starts to speak louder, even in silence. Let's get into the first behavior, the ability to not over-explain yourself. Most guys talk too much, they overshare. They feel this weird pressure to explain every decision, every move, like they're trying to prove something. But the more you explain, the more power you give away. One of the founding fathers of seduction psychology, Mystery, put it best. Mysterious men reveal themselves slowly, selectively, and only on their terms. And the moment you stop explaining everything about yourself, you create an irresistible gap, a mental tension that women want to solve. Let me give you a scenario. You're on a date. She asks, "Why did you pick this spot?" You could say, "Oh, I checked reviews, it looked cool, and I thought maybe you'd like it." Or, you look her in the eyes and say, "Felt like the place." No justification, no long story, just calm, decisive energy. And that, right there, sends a signal. It tells her, you don't need to impress her. You're not performing. You chose this place because it aligns with you. That subtle confidence, it doesn't scream, but it echoes. Now, let's move into something even more powerful. Your relationship with silence. Most men fear silence. They fill every gap with noise, they ramble, they fidget, because deep down, they're uncomfortable with stillness. But a mysterious man? He's at home in silence. He doesn't rush to fill it. He lets it breathe. Robert Greene in The Art of Seduction said, "Silence is a source of great strength, because silence makes people lean in. It makes them wonder. It forces them to feel, instead of just listen." Let me paint the picture. You're mid-conversation with a woman. There's a natural pause. Instead of jumping in nervously to keep her engaged, you just look at her, calm, relaxed, and let the silence linger. That's tension, not awkwardness. Tension. And it's one of the sexiest, most magnetic forces in human interaction. Why? Because she can feel your presence. You're not trying to impress her. You're letting her absorb you. Now let's go deeper. Emotional control. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that destroys a man's mystery faster than emotional instability. If you get triggered easily, if you react to every comment, every little test or joke, you kill the vibe. But a man who stays centered, even when provoked, radiates a different kind of strength. David Deida calls it the masculine core. He says a man's purpose must be stronger than his emotional reactivity. That when a man is grounded, he becomes unshakable, and women can feel it. They trust it. They melt into it. You don't need to fake being stoic. Just stop reacting. Let's say she teases you. Most guys defend themselves. "Wait, that's not true? I didn't mean it like that." But you? You smirk. Maybe raise an eyebrow. Maybe say nothing at all. That tiny moment where you don't flinch, it builds mystery. It shows you're not thrown off by her. You're observing, enjoying, not chasing. Because the moment you react, she knows she's in control. But when you don't, she leans in. She starts questioning. Why didn't that bother him? That's where attraction builds, in the gaps, in the space where curiosity grows. Here's another critical one: not needing constant validation. And this one hits hard in the age of social media. Most guys are addicted to attention. They live for the likes, the responses, the validation. They text and then overanalyze when she hasn't replied in 2 hours. They post something and refresh the app every 5 minutes. But a mysterious man? He's on his own mission. He's not checking his phone every 5 seconds. He's not constantly available. He doesn't chase approval because he's already validated from within. Mark Manson, in The Subtle Art of Not Giving a FCK, nails this. He says, the more you pursue feeling better all the time, the less satisfied you become. And in attraction, it's the same. The more you need attention, the less attractive you are. So what does that look like in practice? You don't text back immediately every time, not because you're playing games, but because your time is valuable. Your focus isn't fragmented. You're not on edge, waiting to be liked. And here's the twist. That space, that gap, that absence of need, it pulls her in, because she can feel when you don't need her validation. And that's where real attraction lives, in the space where you're whole, even without her approval. Let's pause here. That's the first half of what makes a man psychologically attractive and mysteriously magnetic. Let me know when you're ready to continue with the rest. I've got 6 more behaviors to break down, each one more potent than the last. Another behavior that silently builds mystery is having selective vulnerability. Now, listen closely. This isn't about being cold. It's not about acting like you don't care. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about knowing exactly when and how to open up, and making sure it's rare, intentional, and never impulsive. See, when a man spills everything about himself too early, he kills intrigue. He gives away the plot before she even finishes the first chapter. But when you share something real, something that shows depth, maybe even a past pain or a defining moment, but only after she's earned that level of access, it creates a whole new level of psychological attraction, because she realizes you don't let just anyone in. It's the same principle that elite people use in business, art, or leadership. They reveal their truth in layers, when it's relevant, when it's powerful, not when it's convenient. So imagine you're having a deep conversation. Instead of pouring your entire life story out in the first hour, you drop a subtle, meaningful line about something personal, something that hints at a deeper layer of you. And then you move on. You don't dwell. You don't fish for sympathy. You leave her thinking, there's more to this man, and I want to know what it is. That's how you make your story feel sacred, rare, earned. Now let's talk about your eyes. Because one of the most overlooked behaviors of mysterious men is how they use eye contact. A man who's psychologically attractive doesn't dart his eyes around the room like he's looking for an escape route. He holds eye contact just a moment longer than expected. Not in a creepy way, in a way that says, I'm here, I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen. There's an old saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. But more importantly, they're also the gateway to tension, to presence, and to curiosity. A lot of guys break eye contact too soon. They laugh nervously. They look away. But the mysterious man? He holds it, calm, unflinching, with a slight smirk, as if he knows something she doesn't, because maybe he does. This behavior speaks without words. It says, I don't need to fill space. I am the space. It's a silent message that lingers, and it makes her wonder what else you're holding back. Let's go deeper now. Another powerful behavior is emotional unpredictability. Now, before your mind goes to manipulation, this isn't about playing games. It's about contrast, surprise, depth. See, when your emotions are flat, predictable, always polite, always neutral, you become forgettable. But the man who's mysterious shows up with layers. One moment he's teasing, playful, light. The next he's quiet, introspective, present. He can switch gears without warning, and it keeps her guessing, not in a confusing way, but in a way that reveals dimension. Robert Greene talks about this in the 48 Laws of Power. He says, keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. Now apply that to emotion. If she thinks she's figured you out, and then you surprise her with unexpected depth, compassion, fire, or stillness, she has to recalibrate. She realizes there's more to discover, and that uncertainty keeps you compelling. Think of it like music. If every note is the same, the song is boring. But when the rhythm changes, when there's a sudden drop, a shift in tone, you pay attention. So stop being one-dimensional. Let your emotional presence carry variety, but grounded in authenticity. That's the key. You're not acting. You're simply not showing all your cards at once. Now let's shift to something physical, but deeply psychological. Slower movements. This might sound small, but it's a game changer. The mysterious man doesn't move fast. He doesn't fidget. He's not twitchy or rushed. His gestures are smooth, deliberate, unhurried. When you slow down your physical pace, the way you turn your head, the way you sip your drink, the way you walk into a room, you project one thing: control. And control is magnetic. Because when you move slowly, the mind interprets it as confidence. It says, I have nowhere to be. I'm not reacting. I'm leading the pace. Fast movements scream anxiety. Slow movements whisper dominance. You become the calm in the chaos. You ever notice how in movies, the most dangerous or powerful characters are often the ones who speak softly, move slowly, and don't need to prove anything? That's not a coincidence. That's high-level psychological signaling. Another behavior that builds mystery like wildfire? Disappearing at your peak. Let me explain. There's a moment in every interaction where your energy is at its highest. You've got the attention, the mood is right, things are clicking. And that's when most guys overstay their welcome. They want more. More laughs. More validation. More time. But the man who knows his worth leaves before the energy drops. He exits at the high point. And that exit creates a vacuum. It leaves people, especially women, thinking, wait, where did he go? It's a classic seduction principle. When you leave on a high, you plant yourself in their memory as something unresolved. Mystery is fueled by absence, scarcity, lack of closure. You don't ghost, you don't vanish, you simply exit on your terms, with elegance and confidence, and let the silence build anticipation. And that anticipation? That's where desire is born. You don't need to linger to be remembered. Sometimes disappearing is what makes you unforgettable. Let's keep going. One of the most overlooked behaviors that adds layers to your psychological attractiveness, being completely unfazed by female beauty. Now this one stings for a lot of guys, because most men, even confident ones, still show micro signs of being impressed when a beautiful woman walks in. Their posture shifts, their voice changes, their attention narrows. But the mysterious man? He sees beauty and stays centered. Not because he doesn't notice it, but because it doesn't change him. He doesn't pedestalize her. He doesn't bend his behavior. He treats her the same way he'd treat anyone else, with relaxed confidence. Not arrogance, not indifference, just calm, steady masculinity. And here's what happens next. She notices. She starts wondering, why didn't he react? Because most men do. And the fact that you didn't, that you remained unfazed, puts you in a different league. You're not trying to earn her attention. You already have yours. And that's the foundation of all mystery. You're self-contained. You're not chasing. You're orbiting your own world and inviting her into it on your terms. We're not done yet. There's still more to unravel. When you're ready, I'll give you the final behaviors, the ones that complete the transformation. There's another layer most men never even think about, the way you respond to attention. Not how you chase it, but how you handle it when it comes your way. Because here's the truth. A mysterious man doesn't act surprised when he gets attention. He expects it, but doesn't feed off it. Let me explain. When someone compliments you, praises you, or even flirts with you, most guys respond with either excitement or humility that borders on awkwardness. Oh wow, really? Thanks, I guess. But the man who's psychologically magnetic receives the attention like it's normal. Not cocky, not cold, just grounded. He doesn't deflect, he doesn't inflate, he receives, because he already knows who he is. This creates something powerful, emotional asymmetry. You're calm while others are reacting to you. You don't rush to return the compliment. You don't mirror the excitement. You hold your ground. And that's rare. That's what makes people question, why doesn't he react the way others do? You become an emotional anchor in a sea of noise. Let's take it one level deeper. A man who is mysterious, has a distinct way of being alone. And it's noticeable even when he's surrounded by people. It's called self-containment. He doesn't need to announce himself. He doesn't constantly check his phone or look around for external stimulation. He's fully engaged with his own experience. Imagine this scene. You're at a social gathering. People are mingling. You're not the center of attention, but you're not hiding either. You're simply enjoying your drink, observing, relaxed in your own body. No need to perform. No urge to jump into every conversation. And yet, people feel drawn to you. Why? Because you're not seeking connection from a place of lack. You're already whole. That inner stillness is rare, especially in a world where everyone is trying to prove something. The mysterious man doesn't try to fit in. He's not rebellious. He's simply unaligned with superficial validation. And that quiet authenticity pulls others in like gravity. Now let's go psychological again. One of the most fascinating behaviors of truly mysterious men is this. They ask powerful questions, but don't rush to answer them. Let me explain. When you ask someone a question, not a basic one, but something personal, insightful, maybe even slightly challenging, and then you let them sit with it, without interrupting, without filling the space, you create emotional depth. People aren't used to being really seen. They're used to surface-level chatter. But when you ask something like, what's something you haven't told anyone in a while? And then you go quiet. That moment creates real connection, real tension, real intrigue. But here's the secret. You don't jump in after. You don't make it about you. You hold space. You listen without solving. You let them unfold. And what happens next is psychological magic, because people start to associate that depth, that moment, with you. You become unforgettable not by being the loudest, but by being the one who made them feel something they didn't expect. Now here's a behavior that few even recognize, but it creates immense mystery. The ability to be mentally elsewhere, without checking out emotionally. Let me break that down. You can be fully present, giving eye contact, listening, connected, and yet still feel like there's part of you that's far away. It's in your tone, your pacing, your energy. It's as if you've seen more than you let on, lived more than you share, thought deeper thoughts than you express, and that sense, that subtle detachment, creates fascination. Because women can feel it. You're here, but not only here. That emotional duality, presence and distance, is mysterious. It keeps her wondering what occupies your mind, what drives you, what you're not saying. It's the essence of masculine polarity. And now one last behavior that ties everything together, living by your own inner code, without explaining it to anyone. See, most guys live reactively. They adapt to the room. They shift based on the people around them. Their values are flexible. Their energy is inconsistent. But the mysterious man, he has a quiet code, a personal standard. Maybe it's how he handles time, or how he treats people, or what he's willing and not willing to tolerate. And he doesn't announce it. He just lives it. People start to notice. You say no calmly. You walk away from what doesn't align. You don't over-justify your boundaries. You might decline an invite without explaining. You might end a conversation when the energy turns fake. You might challenge a fake smile with quiet stillness. And people feel that. They don't always understand it, but they feel the weight of it. You've built a private world, a personal truth, and you're not inviting just anyone into it. And that right there is what makes you mysterious. Because mystery isn't just about what you hide, it's about what you protect. It's not performance, it's inner structure, invisible lines drawn with masculine grace. You don't push people away, but you don't beg them to stay. You move with quiet precision. And that, my brother, is the ultimate signal of depth, power, and psychological attraction. And here's the truth. You don't have to be the loudest man in the room. You don't need to impress with status, money, or rehearsed lines. What makes you unforgettable, what makes you powerful, is your energy, your restraint, your silence, your stillness, the way you move through life with intention. Because mystery is not about hiding. It's about being so solid in who you are that you don't need to explain it. It's about making people feel something they can't put into words. And in a world that's loud, desperate, and always online, you become the rare one. And here's the thing. If even one of these behaviors resonated with you, it means you're already starting to step into that deeper masculine energy. You're not here just to be liked. You're here to be remembered. But don't keep this knowledge to yourself. If you're serious about leveling up, not just in dating, but in presence, in power, in how the world responds to you, then let this be the beginning, not the end. Drop a comment below with the one behavior you're going to start practicing today. Or tell me which one hit the hardest for you. I read every single one, and yeah, I respond too. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Because what I share isn't surface-level advice. This is for men who are building themselves from the inside out. And if you've got a friend, a brother, someone who needs to hear this, share it. You never know how one shift in mindset can change a man's life. Because this channel isn't about pretending to be alpha. It's about becoming a man who moves like a king, without needing a crown. And that's the kind of man the world watches in silence.